Hi, welcome to Games Lounge. I'm Shaun.
I'm Kieran Smith.
And this week it's our week in review. We're going to go over some of the stories that have caught our eye, rumours, speculations, things like that. And we'll get straight to it. So, Kieran.
Right, I want to start with what I was talking about last week, Star Wars Battlefront. It's just getting a joke now. It's getting beyond the joke. I've got the prices for things here. That's really good. You'll like this, Shaun. So we're talking about for the PC. The game's going to be £50 standard. This is base game we're talking about here. £50. Okay. Most games that are coming out is between 40 and 50. I can accept that. But this is for PC. PC's always been cheaper. Yeah. But now it's just getting up to the same price. So what's the point? Deluxe package, £55. Again, you'll really like this. So Shaun, you're probably wondering, you're really excited. What's the deluxe package? Let me tell you. You get 4 weapons in game and a victory emote.
Okay, sounds really worth this value.
£5 for that. EA can't be serious.
Isn't there something saying that with all the download content it's going to be like £90?
Well, we'll get into this as well. Season pass for DLC, £40 on top of that. So if you get deluxe package and then season pass, that's £95. Now you can get the ultimate edition, Shaun, which costs £95 as well. And it only gives you what I just mentioned. That you actually end up paying, I think it's a penny more, because if you buy them separately, it's actually $39.99 and $54.99.
So you save 1 pence?
No. The Ultimate Edition is 1 penny more.
Oh, 1 pence
more than if you buy it separately. So I reckon what EA is planning there. That's for the PC, for the Ultimate Edition, so you get your season pass and everything. If you're talking about for the Xbox One...
Sorry, 1 second. What's the season pass? What is that exactly?
I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get it right. So the season pass, we're talking about DLC. It's going to be 4 packages that will be released. They're a bit like Call of Duty. They'll release 4 packages over the next year. The main problem with it is they've released no details whatsoever of what the content is.
So you're buying a season pass without even on?
It's just give them money and forget about it. But what am I buying?
What will use people?
Why am I actually buying this season pass at £40? Now the £40 isn't cheap. That's nearly the same price as the game. You're only £15 off buying the game again, deluxe package. Yeah. So why?
Or for a PC game, that is the price of a PC game.
Normally that's the price for the PC game. So for the Xbox One, the season pass is again £40, but the base game is £55. So you can get the deluxe package on the PC for the same price as the base game. The deluxe one is £65. I didn't came with the price. Where's the prices coming through for that?
They're ours. And
the ultimate edition of the game is £105.
Mind blown!
For a game that I'm absolutely speechless on it. It's an absolute joke for Battlefront to even suggest £105.
Back in the day, when it used to be really hard to get imports from Japan and America, you would sometimes get like a SNES game or an N64 game, and it would be £65, and that was shocking. And if you wanted a really rare game, you maybe pay £100 on the SNES. That was like extreme sort of kind of amounts of money. So unless you're going into territories like Neo Geo cartridges from back in the 90s, that's extortionate. But people are paying this because they're very smart. They're breaking it up into sections and they're saying, yeah, just pay the £45 or £55 now, then pay a little bit later. And it's like they end up getting twice as much money off you.
Well, what they're talking about, the season pass, the only difference you'll get by buying them separately and buying the season pass is you get it a couple of weeks early.
What jokey.
So, I'm going to pay you guys £40 for DLC that I'll no get. So that means I need to still. What if I buy that? I buy the Ultimate Edition at £105, right? And I play 5 hours of the single player, and then I play a couple of hours of the multiplayer, and I don't like it. But I've just spent £105 in the game.
And can you get a refund of that?
No, that's serious. The DLC, you've bought a DLC that you're not getting. You will get that eventually, but you're not getting it right now. Yeah. So you're paying for something eventually. I'd rather pay it separate, but I wouldn't, because I'm not buying any of it.
Well, they should just be releasing the game for a normal price with everything in it.
But Battlefield done it as well. Call of Duty's doing it. The problem is, Battlefield 4 was a nightmare for battle packs. It's pay to win. You buy bronze, silver and gold packages and you get random gear in it. That's just a joke as well. Why are you getting random gear? Just make it, like, see all the guns in the game, the best guns in the game and everything, they make it pay, you need to pay it. It's like £3, £4 and that for the best gun in the game. Yeah. Why? I just spent £40 or £50 in the game.
Stuff like this is just going to bite these developers on their ass essentially. They're milking gamers far too much. It's been going on for years, and we've talked about it in the last episode, if you want to check that out. We talked about this kind of stuff where they're overcharging for things, they're releasing download content on day one, and eventually gamers won't get fed up of it, because what will happen is you'll get games developers indies are doing this kind of thing, where they will treat you a little bit fairer, and maybe they'll go the same way eventually as well, because money always gets to people. But they're treating you a little bit better, so then you're like, well, why am I buying games off the big AAA developers? I'd rather just buy an indie game for a tenner and get a full game.
Yeah, I know, I completely agree. £105 for a game, like, I mean, look at, what did you pay for you pre-ordered Fallout 4, that was
I think that was £90, but that came with the...
a Pip-Boy.
Yeah, Pip-Boy.
But, so I'm going to pay £105 for Star Wars Battlefront, and all I'm getting is DLC that we don't even know any details about in the base game with a couple of extra guns. But for £90 you'll get the Fallout 4 game on the PlayStation, you go for PlayStation, right?
Yeah, PlayStation 4.
PlayStation 4, we got that. And you've got a Pip-Boy that you can put your phone in.
And it came with other stuff as well. I'm sure it came...
But that's £90 is totally fine for that. I'm happy paying that because that is a special Ultimate Edition.
And all the stuff they announced during their press conference at E3, everything you were getting there is like the kind of stuff they're adding to this DLC for EA's games. This is the kind of stuff you're getting as part of the game. You're getting extra stuff, you're getting the map builders, that's going to be something that, you know, they'll probably tack onto Battlefront or something, it'll be another £50 or something bollocks, but...
It's, honestly, Sean, it's
Talking about money, I'm going to move on over to Star Citizen, because we talked about this last week, and we're going about money getting spent. Well, I watched CitizenCon, it was on a couple of days after we actually done the stream, and I was watching that, and it was with Chris Roberts, isn't it, the guy?
The CEO.
Chris Roberts, and they were basically going over everything that's happened over the last year and discussing where the money's gone, because I think, like in the rumours, it was, well, there's £90 million, $92 million, sorry, has been kind of pissed away, and people were worried what was happening, it was a scam maybe. Well, they kind of put all that to rest, and I actually watched it, it was an hour or 2 hours long, and I watched pretty much the full thing, and I must say I was, like, any fears I had were put aside. I was quite impressed by what they were showing. A couple of things they showed. One of the big things was, which is probably where a lot of the money's gone to, I'm not sure if I agree with this side, but I'd rather put it back into something else. I think they'd be better maybe hiring just normal actors or unrecognised actors. But the Squadron 42, which is done by Foundry 42, which is part of Star Citizen, their teams, they're doing it's like essentially an offshoot of the game, but you'll get it as part of the game. Just like a sort of separate mission. Like imagine Halo, you would sell that by itself, it could be Halo itself. But if you've funded or invested in Star Citizen, you get that as part of your package thing. But this is where like loads of the money's gone. Main actor they've got is Gary Oldman. They've got Mark Hamill from Star Wars. They've got Mark Strong, he's been in loads of films like Sherlock Holmes and what was the one that was just on Kingsman? Is it Kingsman?
The Secret Service.
The Secret Service one. It's got Gillian Anderson, it's got a couple of other sort of smaller actors. So you think there's...
Why,
well, exactly.
Why are we paying all this money for actors? I don't care, but see when they put Kevin Spacey in college.
Exactly.
Kevin Spacey, great actor, I think the guy's great.
Well,
but do I really care about him in the game?
I think what's weird is this, right, is yeah, you're going to get better, higher calibre actors that can potentially sell it better to you. But then it does the exact opposite, because you're then playing a game that's in space, you're getting right into it, you've got the ships, it's all done really, really well. But then all of a sudden you've got Gary Oldman popping up with his face. So that's Gary Oldman.
Honestly,
what are you doing in this game?
It totally ruins immersion for me. It was the same in Call of Duty, you're playing through it and that, alright, it's unbelievable anyway with the exosuits and everything, but you know, you're really trying to get into the game and then Kevin Spacey, but you keep thinking about House of Cards and you can't get out of your head, you're like, he shouldn't be here, he's in House of Cards. He is a bit of an ass anyway, you all know this. But, I mean, come on, what is it we're doing here? We don't need that, like, let's say they spent $10 million on all these big name actors.
Probably spent more than that,
I know. Yeah. But that $10 million could have went into just pure development of the game and better content for people. GTA 5 didn't need to do that. They didn't need
big name. $200 million or something.
I know, but they didn't need big name actors. Have you heard of anybody that was in the top three? No, Trevor, Michael and...
I don't know, but I know they get like loads of people for voice stuff. They use
cameos and that.
Yeah, so they do spend money on that. What I'd say... What I'd say is though, just on the Squadron 42, the actual game itself, they were pushing some technological stuff that looked really, really good. Facial sort of kind of capture has been fairly decent. You watch stuff like, I don't know what was the L.A. Noire, what it was called?
L.A. Noire, that was basically a tech demo for the motion face.
And there was another one as well, what's the one, Rise on the Xbox One?
Yeah.
Rome Rise, or whatever it's called. Some of the face stuff is pretty damn good, Well, they showed some of this is the next level stuff, they're totally pushing it. So they've got something like on the A-list actors, the main actors, the tier 1 I think it's they're called, or tier 0. They've got 30,000 polygons, so that's pretty good anyway. They're tier 1 actors, which is the secondary actors, they're like 10,000 polygons or 12,000 polygons. In order to the polygons part though, what they've now started to do is they've got all the facials, movements, muscles. They scan their face with the laser, so they've got the scans of their face in high definition, whatever resolution it is, I'm not too sure. But they've taken all these facial expressions, so it's something like 120 something facial like expressions. They've got them all scanned in HD, but then they've started doing this thing, it's called, what was it called again now? Basically they've got layers where it does blemishing on your skin. So what they've got is, they've got all the facial stuff, and it can actually morph between two different facial ones. So if they frown or something, it'll pick up the other scan that's got the frowns, but it'll do it really smoothly and blend.
Oh, really?
But what they've got in things like the lips, in nature, your face, let's say when you're talking, saying certain words, more blood will rush to your lips, so your lips will go redder or paler or whatever, same in parts of your cheeks and your forehead and stuff. Well, this layer they've got, or a couple of them they've got, diffusion maps I think it's, they're calling them, they've got these built in now for the main characters, so when they're talking, these diffusion layers are going off. So they're talking, there's like blood flushing to parts of their face and everything. So, although it's just superfluous, it is pretty damn cool. They're pushing this.
Shaun, Star Citizen, right?
Yeah.
What's the game actually about? Is it not about, you know...
Yeah, space game.
It's a space game. You want to enjoy going about finding your spaceship, and I'm really not interested.
But do you not want to see the anger in his face when you blow
No,
his shit?
I don't. I'm not interested. I'd rather, instead of all that stuff you just talked about there, I've got to completely disagree with everything you say. I'm not interested. I would rather put that into development of the graphics for the actual space aspect of it, you know, the blowing up, the explosions and everything, getting that really HD quality and all that. Because I said you're not interested in the faces, you're not going about walking, speaking to people.
Well, yeah, because it immerses you.
Aye, but I'm again not interested in it. It's like you look at that face for 5 minutes in the game, you're like, alright, see you, but they've spent millions of dollars on you.
Well, I'd say counter to that then, it's like when Half-Life 2 came out, it was 10 years between Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2, and that was one of the things they focused on, facial stuff. And it was a big leap technically from other games, and that was like a talking point. Even now to this day, that's one of the standard features was things like the gravity gun and stuff, and obviously there are other technical coolness or whatever. But the facial animations and the way they'd done it, they had focused on physical stuff and actual scientific stuff. So that was pretty impressive. So I think it's one of these things, it does immerse you in it, whether you pay attention to it or not. Maybe it's one of these things that's just a subconscious thing. When you're playing the game, you can't get into it because you're not looking, although you'll still be able to tell it's like a computer graphic, you're looking at it, it just feels like you're talking a bit more to a real person than some gimp who's just like...
But is this game supposed to be multiplayer anyway?
It is, yeah.
Right, so you're going to be speaking...
But this part here is Squadron 42, like I'm saying, that's like a campaign sort of thing. So although you've got the main game, this is like a separate bit.
But it's, again, they're going completely off what they're supposed to... To be honest, speaking about Star Citizen, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. It's been years and years in development.
It's going to be about another year, but anyway.
Another year. I'll give it 3 to 5 years,
well,
honestly.
They've just released some new stuff. Part of their CitizenCon was they've updated the website where you can do stuff on the website. You can see the full map of the space thing that you're going around.
I want to actually do it though.
But you can. I think they've released 3 of the mods now, so you can actually go and do some of the stuff. It's just that they're building up and building and adding more and more to it as it goes. Just like, right, move on. Star Citizen.
It's just annoying me, right. Star Citizen. I wanted to talk about as well, Steam, it was a few months ago they were talking about the Skyrim charging for mods. Now, it wouldn't be them, it's no for Steam getting the money. This is for people who make the mods on the game for Skyrim. I don't agree with it. I didn't think mods should be paid. The argument is, I've got the two points here. The pro is that
the argument is we want more money.
It's all about the cash. The pro is that modders are getting paid for their work, and I think it's great. If you put a lot of effort in it and you get a wee bit of money, that's fine. Against is it could be buggy, unfinished. There's no quality. Where's the quality assurance now? Because you download a mod right now for Steam for Skyrim, and you play it and it's dire. You just uninstall it. But if you paid like 2 or 3 quid for that, I'm raging about that then, because I just paid money for something that's a hassle to try to get your money back for it. So where is the quality assurance? You need Steam to actually make sure that that game was proper. Now, the solution in my head, what I think we should be doing with that, to just completely negate everything, donations. Make it so that if somebody makes a game, if somebody makes a mod for a game, sorry, and it's amazing, you know, it's really high detail and everything, you think it's part of the game, that's how well done it is, then you should be allowed to donate to that, because I would donate to it if I had downloaded something.
There is some people do that, there is a lot of gamers do that now, but yeah, in Steam.
But having it in Steam though, if you actually had it.
I suppose like you're providing the tools, Source 2 and stuff, you're providing those tools to make the games, so it's really, you know, there's some people who obviously be like, well, I can't make the game unless I've got this money to do it, blah blah blah.
But that's not what modding's about.
Yeah, exactly.
Modding's supposed to be something you do that you played the game, you really enjoy it, and you want to maybe do something a bit different. It's like, oh, but the tools are there for you to be able to mod it. I really don't think it's about getting paid for it. You're doing it because you enjoy it.
And as you say, you can get donations anyway, so it's like if someone does really like it, wants to pay you £1,000, they can.
The Steam's just, they're going the way EA, and you keep bringing this up because they're going the way EA. It's all about the money, because they'll get a slice of that.
Didn't Valve do this already, and it got taken off?
No, they tried to. As I mean, Valve already tried it, and that's what I mean. A couple of months ago, they tried it, and it was a huge backlash.
Why is it coming back again?
Because it's on the down low. Like, it's a wee rumour that they're still interested in it. They're still.
So is that a rumour, or is it actually happening?
No, it's not actually happening again. But that's why I wanted to talk about it. It's really, I need to discourage it, because I'm not wanting that to happen, because the donation thing is fine. Even have an official support for it, so that if you like the game and that, maybe after you've been playing the mod, it'll say, would you like to donate, or can you share this guy, give him feedback and stuff. That's absolutely fine. But I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to, so I'm looking at this going, oh, this mod looks amazing for Skyrim. I'll pay £3.99 for it, and then I get it and go, this really isn't what I was expecting.
It's just a stick figure sitting there.
No, even if it's like some really cool textures and that, and it's like, oh, you've got here a campaign mission. But the campaign mission is literally 2 minutes, and then that's it. You're like, I wasn't really explained, but then they're like, tough, here's your 3 and then
I think if that did ever go ahead, let's assume that gamers don't knock it down again like last time, which, if they're even considering it after that, it's a bit weird. But if it did go ahead, you'd hope that they have something in place where you can easily get refunds if that is the case, so people can't just abuse it like that. Make a level and it's got one guy standing and you're like, it's this bullshit. What's the channel you watched? It was on YouTube where the guy was playing it. It was terrible. It was just the zombies and it was just absolutely atrocious.
Oh, Worth the Buy's channel.
Yeah, and it was the zombie game that.
He was playing it, and it was so shocking.
Yeah.
It was, oh, what's it called?
You were saying it was utter shit. It's going crazy about it.
Is it Slaughterhouse or something?
It was terrible.
Aye, but it was only 79 pence. But you wouldn't pay 79 pence for this. It's only 79 pence to the winner. No, but I've paid 79 pence of my money for that, and it's not worth 79 pence. It's like pre-alpha.
I think ultimately it comes back to the thing you're saying. It's modding's for people that want to become game developers, want to try stuff, want to have a muck around with gaming, test things out, and then if you've got the option there for people to donate, perfect. If not, that's what it is. If you're wanting to get into proper game development, you didn't use mods for it, or you make it a full-blown game and then you're susceptible to all the things that come with that, like taxes, registering your business, making sure you're paying your staff, all this kind of stuff that goes along with that.
Because that would be cash in hand stuff, really. It's the same everywhere now, that you're trying to do wee bits on the side, you know, Dota and Dota 2 and stuff.
Nobody taking
you can sell stuff, and Steam's really want to do it so they can get even more money. From the Steam community.
What's the cut if it is?
I don't know. I don't know what the cut is. There's no release it, because obviously they even tried it. Even the mention of that, if the whole community went off the nut, which you would. I would have. I just didn't even know about it back then. But it's coming round again in this roundabout way. It's just like, we're still interested in doing that, but they're going to tiptoe now, because they kind of dove right in the first time. And now they're just maybe creeping in, like maybe the day did donations and then much bits to pay for, and that's it. That's just what they do. Moving on from that, I have got something I wanted to talk about as well with GTA 5. No more updates for the old consoles, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
Okay.
What they're doing now is they've basically just screwed over the community that made them $1 billion in 3 days. That was the 360 and PlayStation 3 sales, $1 billion in 3 days, and now 2 years down the line, they made updates for the online.
But when you say updates, as in new content,
DLC, nothing.
Like fixing
That's
bugs.
it, it's done. It's like that's it. That's the final game.
How long has it been out for? 2 years.
2 years. It was October 2013 I'm sure it came out. But then it got re-released in PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and they got that new update that just released, was it a couple of weeks ago or maybe 5-6 weeks ago, I can't mind. But it was the free mode missions. That came out and I was really excited about that, and then I found out that it was just coming out in the new consoles. And yeah, well, a total joke. I get it, I get where they're coming from completely. They're talking about how it's, you know, the old song where they can't handle it and everything. But at least give them something. You know, this is giving them nothing. This is just cutting them off completely. This is it. They're gone.
It has been over 2 years.
I know, but we've not really had a hope for that. You know, we got GTA Online and then we got Heist. We got Heist. That was it. That was basically our only DLC over the years. The fact is, though, what they should then do is work on the next game. But they kind of, why are they even talking about DLC then for the new content? They might bring out for some story DLC, because this has all been online stuff. Some story DLC, we're never going to get that now. We just can't get that. It's going to be gone to the new consoles only.
I suppose that's...
I don't like it at all. Purely because I bought Forza Horizon 2. I bought that for the 360. I didn't know about this, but it was actually like a third party company developed that side of it, and it was using the Horizon 1, so it was like basically Forza Horizon 1 reskinned, because it didn't add any real development to it. And Forza Horizon 2 for the Xbox One looked amazing, and I'm like, well, this is great, I'm going to buy it for the 360. Found out there'll be no car packs, no DLC, nothing. You buy the game for 40 quid and that's it.
Do you think part of the problem though is with this is games nowadays, see back when you went to Mega Drive and SNES and N64, you'd buy a game and that's it. You spend 50 quid and that's your game. There's no download, there's no patches, nothing at all. Unless a game was totally broken or something, and maybe gets recalled, but you buy a game and that's what you pay for. You're 50 quid, like a movie, you pay 10 quid, you go and watch it and that's it done. It's part of the problem now, because of all the DLC, the season passes, it's got this mindset in people's heads now. You pay your 40 quid for a game, and because people feel like they've been bumped when they bought a game and it's stuff comes out later, or it's not got this, or bits are all on the desk, it's not unlocked. Is this part of the thing that the industry's caused now, where everyone wants more and more, because there's games are getting stuff a year down the line? When is there a game that's, you buy it and that's it?
Well, when GTA 5 came out at first and then they released online, I think it was a week later, a couple of weeks later, that on its own was enough.
Yeah.
It was totally enough to be a standalone game, and all these updates have been free. I need to mention that as well. The fact is they've no charged any money for Heist or anything. The Heist update that came out, that was a big update. I absolutely love playing Heist. I played through it with my friends, but at the same time you're still screwing people over. You know, that community that made you that $1 billion, because it only got released last year on the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So $1 billion in 3 days, 2 years down the line, you're still, I think this is a kick in the teeth for people, is you're still now got to be releasing content for the new generation, even though they've just bought a game for the old 360, because you just didn't release it for the, even though the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One was released, they didn't release it straight away. It was like 6 months later before they actually released it. So everybody bought it straight away on the 360 like I did. I really wanted to buy it and I really wanted to play it, so I played it. In fact, I'm sure I bought it in the PlayStation 3 first, then on the 360 as well, because my wee sister wanted the one on the PlayStation 3, so I lost that. Then I bought it in the 360, and now I've bought it for the PlayStation 4. So I bought that game 3 times now. 3 times for the same game. Yeah. But it's an amazing game. The amount of content that's into it, that's being put into it, was easily enough to just be a standalone game. But again, it comes back to Forza Horizon 2, sorry, and what GTA 5 is doing. I just don't like it. I don't like the fact that you're just totally screwing over your fan base. Because I don't buy Forza games anymore. Even if I get an Xbox One, I won't buy Forza 6. Horizon 2, I traded it back in straight away. I'm not even playing it. It was totally pointless for me. There's no DLC coming. But they didn't even really. They had their season pass for Forza Horizon 2, but that was only for Xbox One. 360 wasn't getting anything. But they didn't say that, by the way. They made you, once you bought your game on the 360, Forza Horizon 2, then it said, oh, by the way, there's no DLC coming for it at all. There's no updates, nothing.
See, I think like with these consoles, I think they need to, it goes back to what I've been saying for ages now, is they need to make a game. What's funny is I was actually advocating Rockstar's development of Grand Theft Auto 5 and their other Grand Theft Autos, that they take 5 years between them or so much time to, like, between releasing new versions. And I was always sort of saying that I like the idea that it take several years to make a game, they bring it out and it's got all the content. But then we start adding this kind of stuff, it's a bit annoying. I think if you're going to do that, as you say, if you're going to release stuff on a game that's come out on all the consoles, let's say Xbox, PlayStation and PC, if you're going to do an update, you have to do it on all of them. Or didn't do it at all. Either didn't do it at all and work on a brand new game that's got that stuff in it, and then when you release it, you put it on the consoles you want and it's got all this stuff. And I think like things like obviously online part or the what's it called, the raids, the heists.
Nice.
Maybe that stuff's separate, but as long as you put it on the other consoles, yeah, you release that maybe 6 months down the line or a year down the line to extend the use of the game or the fun of the game. But I think if you're going to release a game, release it with all the content that's ready to rock and roll on the consoles you want. And if you're going to do any updates or additions to it, it goes on all the consoles. And that's what you get. If you want to start charging for download packs, put that into a new game. Why don't you focus this stuff on new games? Just make a brand new
Because
game.
then, technically a game that's...
It's not money obviously, but...
But like GTA 5, there'll only be... I mean, GTA 6 isn't coming out for a few years.
Yeah.
That's been 2 years, probably another 3 or
Yeah.
4 years. So you could... I totally get it, like what Fallout's doing. Fallout's actually a really good example. Fallout 3, they released that. See their DLC packages. You were happy to pay that money just because of the sheer amount of content you got. Operation Anchorage, all that, Brotherhood of Steel pack.
Did that come out on all the consoles? And
That came out in everyone.
That's fine.
At very similar times. What was it? I was going there. So I've lost my train of thought. I was with the DLC. Fallout. But Fallout 4, for example, that's a perfect example to use as well. Because Fallout 4, they've got to release that way an absolute crap load of content. You know it's going to be 100+ hours anyway in the game. You're confident in buying it because of the amount of content you're going to get. It was the same with Fallout 3. Fallout New Vegas, that was a grey area, we'll say, for the Fallout community. Because I technically call that Fallout 4. It was for me Fallout 4, but it just didn't. It was a new story. But the Fallout line for Fallout 3 onwards, every DLC pack they put in Fallout 3 was worth it. It was worth the £10 for each DLC package. Happily pay that because of the amount of content. And they were developing that after the game was released. So that got released a couple of months down the line, this new DLC. And by then you're maybe getting a bit bored of the game, you played it to the new DLC, and then you go, it gets your interest back. So you could release technically, that DLC 4 package, you could release one every 6 months, and then you get an extra 2 year out of your game. You know what I mean? And then people's going to buy that, they're like, oh, let's get back into it, and that's great. And then that kind of sets you up for the next time, for Fallout 4, essentially. And they'll do the same, they'll maybe have 4 packages, that's fine. But Star Wars Battlefront, the season pass stuff, it's like, so wait, I'm going to pay the full £40 for the 4 DLCs I'm going to get, and I've got no clue what I'm going to get for it. So what's the point?
It's an interesting one. It'll be interesting to see what this kind of goes on over the next few years. Will they carry on this, or if it starts losing sales, are they going to work at the next sort of, you know, it went from microtransactions to DLC to season passes.
It's no pay to win.
Pay to win. But then that's going to hope eventually die away. So what's next? Is it going to be kill to win?
I was going to say go outside. That'll be the next stage where everybody stops playing games
and you'll still get charged for it.
You walk out, it's a £5. It's
DLC pack that's real life. And
you want to get the train into Glasgow? No, you've got to need to stop it like
that. Happens anyway.
It's like, no, that's extra money because that's DLC.
Right, we're just going to mention something before we go on to the next topics. We're about halfway in through the show. Anyone that's watching the show or is following us on our channel, if you're not aware of where things are, on the channel on Twitch we have got a box down below if you want to donate to the channel. You can also follow us. It is there, so it's maybe a little bit hard to find. We're going to get something up for that to show you and make it a little bit clearer. We also have got Patreon. If you're on that and you want to support us on there, you can. We're going to have exclusive content going to these channels for people that are donating towards us, and we'll have things like giveaways, exclusive content behind the scenes.
DLC and that.
DLC, we're going to release DLC.
DLC.
So we're going to have that kind of stuff. So if you're interested, check that out. If you're not sure what it is, let us know. We can always make it a little bit clearer, or send us messages and we can always get back to you on that one. We also have got streams that are coming out throughout the week. If you're not watching any of the other ones, we have got things like on a Tuesday we've got Shenmue 2 with myself. On the Dreamcast, we've got on a Wednesday Super Mario Maker with whoever's in the studio. On Saturday we've got this show, which is a weekly thing now, from 5 till 6. And then later on this evening we will have from 7 till 10, 11 o'clock, we'll be playing a game, normally scary games with Kieran because we like scaring him. This week we're going to be playing Wii Lee U, and it's going to be Zombie U. You're looking forward to that, aren't you?
Never played it. I don't really play the Wii. I'm not a big Nintendo fan. I had the signed copy. I'm a bit more into my kind of shoot 'em ups and stuff, but I'm terrible at horror games. I think we all know this. If you look at any of the previous streams I've done, I'm horrible at them. But it's awesome. No,
Yeah.
it means you get a laugh, and that way, well, you all get a laugh out of my expense.
And we're going to try and aim towards more terror games. If you wonder what I'm talking about there, Kieran's done a review for Soma that will be going up online on the YouTube, the video on YouTube and anywhere else we've got it. So we'll post it up after the show. Go and check it out, give some feedback on it, and let us know what you'd like to add, take away or whatever to these reviews. We will eventually have the website up at some stage. We're still working on it, trust us. And that will eventually go up with all the kind of stuff there, the content there.
But EA there. just trust us, it's fine.
But yeah, any donations you give to us and anything that support helps us massively and allows us to carry on doing the show. Makes it a little bit easier for us to get equipment and basically get the games that we want to play, that you want us to play.
Yeah, it's better content for you guys as well. Everyone goes towards that.
So anyway, now we've done that, let's move on to the next conversation. What else do you have to talk about?
Well, I've got one more thing to talk about, but I'll let you go. I'll let you go yours.
Alright, well a couple of nights ago, it was on BBC Two, there was a programme called, it was on Horizon, and it was called Are Video Games Really That Bad? And it was a documentary where they were looking into video games, the effects it has on every sort of kind of age group, demographic. It had research that had been done on violence or increased violence playing video games, all that kind of stuff, the things that have been negative that get highlighted in the press. So when someone stabs someone in the face because they never let them borrow their Xbox, and it gets totally highlighted in the metro or something like that, it was kind of pointing out the fact that these are sort of isolated cases. You know, when you think of how many games there is across the planet, you only ever hear about these now and again. But unlike something like where people are going out on a weekend and getting fights every weekend, where that doesn't get much attention, it's much more sensationalised when you get something like this. So it was kind of touching upon that kind of stuff. But the really interesting part about it, if you can go and find it, it's probably on catch-up TV or something, I'd definitely recommend going and watching it. Some of the things it talked about was how games can be used to educate older people, and they've done tests to like look into this.
Alright.
And some of the tests that showed like increased cognitive behaviours, increased learning capacities, especially for older people. It showed an increase in their attention span, multitasking. It also focused on things, and actually done loads of research on this. It focused on other areas like young kids who are playing it, where they said that violent games will cause them to be more violent, but the correlation between that didn't really match up. So the scientists were saying, well, you would see clear evidence of this. One of the things was, you would see clear evidence if there was an increase in violence from playing games. If you looked in society, you'd see more violence then. But what it says, it actually had the exact opposite effect, was because people were playing the games, they were on the side causing the problems.
But it's the same to what you were talking about there, with games causing violence.
Yeah.
You know, like games like the Manhunt games and that came out years ago, and then people end up getting stabbed. And that's a totally separate thing. You know, it's the same like in America, all these guns and that.
Yeah.
So the guns aren't killing people. It's the people that
Guns don't kill people. Oh, is it? People.
Guns don't kill people. People kill.
Is it?
It's the same. Games don't kill people. It's people kill people.
Yeah.
It's, if you're playing a violent game, to me, if I wasn't really right in the head with that kind of stuff and I did want to go and kill people, that could actually stop that because you're doing it in a game.
Exactly.
So you take all your frustration, everything out in a game. If you're playing a fighting game or you really want to go and fight somebody, but you just end up playing it in the game and you defeated them now, and you're like, oh, I feel better now. It's an escape, if you like, for people like that.
And the thing is, like, as long as it's done right as well, like obviously we've got loads of different genres of games and are designed for different age groups and stuff. I think obviously it's easier for someone to think, it's like a lot of other things in life, it's easier for you to think that people can easily manipulate that to then psychologically affect people, and they probably can, just like anything in the world, a movie, a book,
alcohol
anything.
can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Alcohol can totally
and that's legal. And it's
yeah, no, like that's what I mean, you end up getting a fight or you get glass and that on a night out, and nobody bats an eye, but if I was...
He's tried that a few times, he knows.
No, they know. You go on a Saturday night and a fight happens, or you end up stabbing somebody or that, and then that's it. The news just brushes it under the carpet, and nobody's really interested. But if I come out and say, I was playing Grand Theft Auto 5, so I wanted to shoot everybody. Oh, it's everywhere, it's blown up, massive proportions.
Trained on Grand Theft Auto!
Trained on Grand Theft Auto.
Expertly trained marksman.
It's just a joke. Seriously, the game is something to do in that. I can't believe it. I've played games that are really, really violent. I even had a wee shot of Hatred. Have you heard of Hatred before the game? But technically an indie game, it was released on Steam and that got a lot of controversy because it's basically a guy who isn't right in the head and he wants to kill people, just massacre innocent lives as many as he can. Police, grenades and blood everywhere and that. It was a black and white top down shooter and that, and he was just mowing people down. So he got a lot of hate and a lot of a lot of controversy surrounding it. But the thing is that boosted sales.
So it always does that.
The developers of Hatred done that on purpose. I didn't think they needed to go that far though with some of it, but I don't think it's actually went that far either. I think it's a game. If you play that and you take something that's, oh, I'm going to copy this and I'm going to do this, why? There's something clearly wrong with you if you need to do that. Clearly, there's got to be, because I can play games like that all day and then I don't suddenly think, oh, maybe I'll go and date in real life, because that's pointless. We don't want to get a gun fee.
But that's the whole point of the show. That's the whole point of that programme. It was to dispel those myths about gaming and point out the actual benefits. And by the end of the programme, anyone that's got kids or anything like that that's worried about their kids growing up with games and becoming more violent, it kind of dispelled all of that. You watch it, it actually painted a real positive light on games, I felt anyway. And it was talking about the educational side of it and the benefits to how it could actually train people's minds. There was a bit where the guy, he was a surgeon and he was using remotes where he had put them onto, is it endoscopy or whatever it's called? You know, where they do keyhole surgery. The little bits. He basically made a game, this guy developed a game, a surgeon, and it was to train surgeons on how to use...
Was it a suction simulator, was it?
No, it was...
No, because I've played that and that's just funny, you just take a hammer at the guy's ribs and everything.
Nah, that's not, it's another one. It was actually like a puzzle game, but what he'd done was he had developed this game and he was saying that the tools they've got currently to train you on using these tools, they're not really well designed because it's just like move a block here, move a block there with a little like tool. But he said that's not really real life situations, it doesn't really get you thinking outside the box. If something crops up, you can't really think about it. So what he had done is developed this game where all the bits in the game were designed. I'm doing this by the way because it was actually like this, it was like scissor things. In the game, all the bits that were designed, the puzzles, were based around real life things you might come across when you're doing surgery.
Oh, so instances happened in the past.
But it wasn't like doing, like it wasn't a body or something. It was like, let's say there was a bridge where you had to move something like a little stair. You had to move it into a certain area. You had to twist it around and rotate it, and it was in 2D space as well. Because he was saying the game was, it looked like a 3D game, but it wasn't. He said when you're looking at the screen, you wanted to replicate what's shown in the surgery in the room, because they're looking at a 2D screen. So he wanted to replicate this where people can play this game and do stuff, but it's automatically training them how to use these tools much better. And apparently, based on the tests they've done, it increased surgeons' coordination or use with the tools by something like 50% or something. That was crazy. So it actually genuinely worked, and there were names that kind of push on the idea that, well, you could actually train people up that aren't surgeons using these kind of tools to train them to become actually better at doing this kind of stuff. So then you start putting things into people's heads where, and in the show, covered this as well, they started talking about, they believe that human beings can only really focus on something like 4 different things at one time when you're looking at them. So one of the tests they've got is that lots of little smiley faces on a screen, and they're all the same colour apart from 4 of them. And what happens is you have to track the 4 of these little smiley faces, the ones that are different coloured, but then they turn to the same colour as the other ones. So you've got to try and track these 4 ones, and then it'll ask you at the end of it, was this one a smiley face? So it'll just randomly pull up and say, was this one of the other coloured ones originally? Now, before they thought only people could do about 4 of them, that's what they tested. But then when they started testing it with gamers, they realised they could actually track up to 8. So most people, like when the games were doing 6, I think it was, but they said they could actually push it to probably 8. And these people were tracking it and were like really shocked by this kind of revelation that games are improving people's awareness of stuff that's going on and memory and stuff like that.
There's an ability.
Yeah, it was.
to catch them.
But then you start pushing into stuff like, I don't know if we really touched upon it much in the show, but funnily enough, I read the story. I'll mention this in a minute. But it touched upon stuff like, well, it made me think of stuff like virtual reality. We've talked about this before. The VR headsets. I think obviously violence in games might change a little bit when you start feeling like you're actually there.
I think that violence, I mean, it's alright if you're playing a zombie game. If you put had VR on, you're like playing zombie,
You know it's
zombie
fake,
you know it's fake. If it was a game like Hatred, where it was like first person, you
Yeah.
were just mowing civilians.
It's meant to look realistic or something.
That you're bordering on
Yeah.
actual simulation territory there rather than a game. Because
Yeah.
even though it's VR, you're still doing it just to play a game.
Yeah.
You've got to still know that it's a game. You want to be immersed, absolutely, but you don't want to be in a situation where you start feeling guilty about what you're doing, or you might go, I don't know how
Yeah.
right am I even sane anywhere, because you're just mowing people down,
Yeah.
or you're just running up behind people and stabbing them and stuff, and then but because it looks so real, or that you're so involved and so immersed in the game, that's when
Yeah.
you go into that kind of territory where you need to worry about stuff.
And maybe they'll have to reevaluate when that does start happening. Maybe they'll have to reevaluate games themselves and say, well, this kind of game, because you are almost replicating your normal senses, movement, visual, sound and everything, maybe it will affect you a little bit differently compared to another type of game where you're playing with a controller and a sort of screen in front of you. But what would I say going on to that is a little additional thing that I wasn't even going to touch upon, but I'll touch upon it because I read it today. Kirk Johnston, who has been on the show before, my brother, he wrote a short story. It's a novelle, it's called. It's like between a short story and a novel. He wrote a short story called Presence. So if you go and search it's on Google or the Android store, I think it is, and he's also got on his Facebook page, I think there's a link there to download it and read it. It's the book's called Presence, read it. It talks about VR, and it's about some guy's situation he's in where he's this disabled guy after an accident, and how VR changes his kind of perception and stuff. And it's quite interesting, it makes you sort of think about stuff. Once we do get to that area, exactly the stuff we're talking about, how could it actually totally fuck with your mind?
Well, aye, because it could completely change everything you know, because then you start doubting what's real and what's still a game. Because if you're playing a game and you play like Euro Truck Simulator, let's say you were actually a truck driver and then you try to do Euro Truck Simulator, but it was like Euro Truck Simulator 42 or something, it was well in the future, and you're like, well, I could just do this from home. But then that leads on to aspects like that with VR, replacing truck driving, instead of going full on just autonomous like computers. I didn't like that idea.
Drones are doing this kind of stuff.
But I don't like that idea. Like the trucks going about with no drivers in them. But see if it was VR, like if you had the VR headset, you had the steering wheel and everything, but you were still controlling the truck just for the comfort of your own home. So then that means if you want to be a truck driver, you still need to do your test, but everything would be VR.
What happens if you do your test in VR?
That's what I mean. Is it would then be so much easier. You know, you wouldn't need to spend so much time on the road. You'd just be doing everything virtual. Even if you did want to still be a truck driver and you were still on the trucks, as a training simulation, like what NASA's doing. You know, you just total VR. Everything's VR. It helps you train for just even passing your test, for example. The hazard perception part where you need to find the hazards. If it's VR and it's right there at the screen and it's looking well enough and it's like you're actually driving a car, everything looks and feels real. And then hazards come at you, you need to be able to spot them, and it comes out like a test. That would be a much more accurate test to do for your theory. If VR was introduced into your theory test before you went for your practical test, just to make sure you know what it is you're doing.
Maybe you can call it your driving V-ray test.
No, Shaun.
I'm
pretty sure we just lost followers after you said that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Talking about the VR thing, if anyone's checking into VR stuff or has got a VR headset, one of the games, I think it's called Sightline on the VR, it's on the Oculus Rift. Check that game out, it's about physics, it's absolutely incredible, and it's mentioned in Kirk's story as well, but what it does is it talks about physics stuff. Now this sounds boring when I'm saying it probably, but when you actually watch it, it's phenomenal. It talks about quantum physics and how things can happen when you're not looking. So, like Schrodinger's cat that is alive and dead at the same time in the box, and depending on what you look at, or the old sort of saying if a tree falls in the woods when nobody's here, can you hear it, or whatever, that kind of stuff. But when you're in this VR game or this demo or whatever it is, it does all this kind of stuff. So one minute you're looking at something, a table, it'll tell you to look away, or a noise will go, you'll look away, you look back and something will be on the table. You look away and it'll come back and there'll be a chair there. And you're like, yeah, what's going on? This is weird. It does all these kind of physical things within the game that are based on physics, that are based on quantum physics, that kind of mess with your mind, but they're real theories. And it's like a really good tool.
When you look into that.
Yeah, it's awesome. But it's like a really good tool, and you can see how VR, especially, and gaming, can be used to educate people. Imagine going into school. There's things like in school where people do maths, physics, chemistry, whatever, and it's boring as hell when you're a kid. I'm sure loads of like youngsters will know about this, or teenagers, or whatever. You're in school and you're like, I don't want to go and sit and learn about the geography or something like that. But imagine having a VR headset and you could actually go into Japan or something and walk around the streets and feel it, sort of kind of thing, go into the shops.
If you're there.
Yeah, you'd be right up for that. You know what I mean? Physics, you'd be right up for that. Imagine going into the bit and watching that programme and getting taught about physics. Well, this is awesome.
Well, if you were doing your science class and you started talking about space,
yeah.
I mean that's a whole nother topic you could go into. You're in the VR and you're flying around space.
It's got one like that. There's a demo for that as well. Again, I forgot what it's called. But it shows you the size and the scale of Earth compared to planets and stars, then those stars compared to other types of stars. And when you go in, you're like in a little ship and you can fly between them all and stuff. But it shows you the scale and you're like, oh my god, it's incredible. But it's phenomenal. And this was one of the first VR games that came out on Oculus. So if you imagine what it's going to be like when you get like 4K screens and...
Well, I wanted to talk about this because I've seen this. I haven't actually noted down my notes. You just reminded me about VR. It's a virtual reality theme park. And by this, I mean what's happened. It's all 3D model. You've got a backpack with batteries, and then you've got your VR headset, and then you've got gloves on and a gun. But what happens is, because it's a shoot 'em up. It's like aliens and stuff. You like on an alien kind of.
Alright, so you're actually in a theme park in the game.
What happens is basically just a big warehouse. Right now, this is what I've seen. It's a warehouse. And it's got all the corridors and things and everything you can do. It's like, it's not on rails, but it's like you can only go a certain direction. But it's just plain walls. But you see the virtual reality, and what happens is you're in this starting area, and you put the VR, everything gets switched on, and so you can only see it, but it looks exactly the same. It's 3D modelled, exactly the same. So you can't go wrong with it. It's almost if you got to bump into walls. So it's when you go around a corridor, you can see giant alien structures and that, but there's only a block there, a big cylinder there. But you see it and you're like, wow, this is amazing. The starting area was brilliant. It was just a big huge
I think I've seen this.
A big huge like hole that you could just walk right through. But in the game you just start and a portal appears that's only so high. So you're ducking down, there's nothing above you, but you're ducking down and you're squeezing through the portal, and you come through the portal and then you look back and it's a wall. And it is a wall, Ken goes back and you're like,
that's a physics thing,
so now I'm in this new area and you turn around, there's aliens coming, you're firing, you're shooting them, everything feels really real. But would you pay money for that though? To play a game, you've got your suit on and that, you're going to be, it's like in the arcades,
Depends.
like when you've got, like imagine a zombie game, you know, House of the Dead, or House of the Dead 3, 4, all that kind of stuff, where you've got a shotgun and a machine gun. You and your friend, you're going round, you're actually walking about with guns, trying to complete this level, this massive level, with you and your mate. Oh, this is awesome because we're in VR, we can see each other in VR. You know, it's like two Marines going about with guns, aliens popping up, you're shooting them from every direction. You can see everything. A full-blown theme park like that would be amazing. It's something totally different. I'd pay for that, definitely.
Yeah, I do. Well, you go to theme parks and you spend a £5 or £10 on a ride and stuff like that. Maybe not as much as that, I don't know.
But this is just pure VR.
There was one like that. It was similar. Halo. They done it with Halo. They done a VR one, and it was with it wasn't a proper Oculus Rift, it was their HoloLens.
Right.
And they done it, but they had like a table in the centre and the people could come into the room, and you were in a physical room, but because of the HoloLens, there were bits in the table where it looked like the holograms were coming through the table. So like Cortana was coming up and the map and stuff, and then they could look at walls. There was a bit where they had a structural wall, but then had like just an empty space in it for like a window. There was nothing behind it. But when you looked at it, you could see the ship inside.
So it looks real.
So you're like, oh my god, I'm in the ship, this is cool.
But yes, I mean, you need to actually take the mask off to see you were just in this dark room, there's nothing really there. But it is, I think it's totally the way forward with that, for going to the arcades and stuff. You find it amazing, you know,
one day,
like that.
The like
Void, that's the name of it, Void.
One day when we get later down the line, once we've got enough people watching the show, maybe it'll be episode 5,000 or something like that, we're going to be sitting here with our VR headsets on, and people will be VR and sitting next to us. There'll be someone sitting there.
I wouldn't even need to come through Edinburgh, I'd just be there.
Oh, you have to come to.
Well, I still need to travel on that.
Right, last couple of stories, we've only got about 10 minutes to go, I think, maybe a bit less than that. Just check the time, how long we've got to go, Adam? 10 minutes to go. Yeah, we'll finish up the last couple of stories, so Kieran, yourself?
Steam controller. That's
Awesome, isn't it? It's awesome.
Listen, I never bring good news to you guys, so I can't. But what we've got,
The
Steam
harbinger of
controller.
bad controllers.
Yes, it's shit. That's it, that's all I've got to say, moving on. No, wanted to compare it, we've got a few controllers in for the Wii U, Xbox and PlayStation. Looking at what the Steam controllers try to bring, I just don't get it. The Xbox 360 controller analog placement is amazing. I think it's the best. I'll show you this here. The analog placement is amazing because you've got that one there and it perfectly fits in your hand. So it's like the Wii Nunchuck is exactly the same as that, you know, it fits in your left hand, so your thumb is quite simple. The PlayStation one, so that one on the left there is essentially where the placement is, but it looks like the Wii has got a kind of look about the Wii U controller as well. I didn't care what that was about, that I just got to complain about that. That's ridiculous, trying to play a game like that. It's much better having it differently and having the the action buttons up there. But looking at where it was in the PlayStation, they've got it down here. So it's a bit difficult, but it's on an Xbox controller, so it's like the Xbox's D-pad is actually what you're using for an analog stick, and then the other analog stick is up here. But it's not an analog stick, it's just a touch mat thing, like what you get is the tracking pad on the PlayStation 4 controller. So you're essentially using it like that, you know, to look around like a mouse, like you said that actually might be okay to use it like that.
Yeah, but it is in the side, it's not in the centre, it's on the side.
No, it is in the side, so it's there, you've got
so
the tracking
that.
pad there, but it's down there, though. That's where your analog stick is down there. No, up there. So your analog stick's here, but then that's the way up there, so it's like the other side. But it's not an analog stick, it's this trackpad. But it's like you're trying to use two different methods of moving around, if you like. You're using analog. If you're using a mouse and keyboard, that's fine. You're using the WASD keys and that, and then you've got the mouse and that for turning. That's fine. But they're trying to make it like what you said, like a mouse where you need to turn around like that. You know, where you actually need to move your mouse around. But I don't want to do that. If I'm playing with a controller, then I'm just wanting to be able to move around with the analog sticks. And the D-pad is the same as the trackpad. It's like touch sensitive. They're not actually anything sticking out. It's just like touch sensitive directional.
But they've got haptic feedback on those though, so when you press it, it feels like you're pressing a button.
Yeah, I get that. But like on the tracking pad though, that's not going to be that. That's just.
No, it has as well. It's got that as well.
Has it got that as well?
It's on both of those.
Why are you like pressing it? That's like pressing on an analog.
Well, it is.
It's pressing R3's kind of.
I think the biggest flaw with it is this. I'm sure people done this when they first announced it and they tested it out. When they got the dev kits, there was a group of people got them sent out, 1,000 people or something. I think the biggest flaw with that is when you're using an analog stick like that. So let's say this one's you're moving, this one's you're aiming, right? I think when you're moving, you've got the tactile feedback, obviously, whether people prefer that or not. But when you're aiming, there's times in games you might just want to go, let's say, just forward constantly. I don't know how, but I'm sure like when the people were testing it, if you moved your finger around, it only sensed you moving. You know what I mean? So it would sense your movement on the pad. If you stop moving, then it stopped moving. Whereas on like a pad, if you do that and hold it there, it still keeps moving. Does that make sense?
Well, aye, but a negative to that though as well is if you've got the tracking pad for an analog stick, if you want to turn right all the way around like 180 degrees, you might swipe and it only takes you 90.
But I think it works like that. So like you're still doing it in a circle like that.
Well, even if it is exactly the same as that, like, you know, it's obviously a big circle, so you can.
No, I get you. So
right. You know what I mean? That swipe movement takes a lot longer than just, you know, like that. You move that to the right, your character will turn around. You swipe, it might only go to there, but you're actually want to go to here. You know what I mean? And then you need to go back and do it again. But then if you do the exact same thing, you go too far. So where's the judgment there? Well, with that, you can just let it go and it stops.
Yeah. I think the problem is that obviously everyone knows that. Well, I'll say everyone knows. I think most people would tend to agree that a mouse and keyboard is the best setup for controls when you're playing first-person shooters and stuff.
Aye, but I do like the controller. I just like a controller because that's what I grew up with and that's what I like using. I don't really, a mouse and keyboard for me is a bit too. It's no technical because I'm obviously into my IT stuff, my gadgets, and I'm a bit of a geek. But I still like a controller for when I'm playing my games. Even the big Wii U with the screen, I'd rather use that than a mouse and keyboard. I don't know what it is, just personal preference. I think.
Me personally, with controllers, I think after the Wii came out, I'd played Counter-Strike and everything on the PC for years beforehand. And when the Wii came out, not the Wii U, the Wii, with the pointer controls, ignoring the graphics on this bollocks and everything, but actual pointer controls, I really enjoyed that with the aiming, with the pointer. It was really cool. It was like, to me, that was almost as good as a mouse and keyboard. But one of the best ones for a console isn't just aiming for that and then using the nunchuck for moving around. I really enjoyed that combo when it was done right. I think the Conduit got it right the first time and then they messed up with the Conduit 2. But I think because obviously Steam itself and Valve has predominantly been a PC company, they've kind of went for this FSU, is it FSU or FSV? Thanks for following, cheers. I think with the PC side of things, they've tried to sort of kind of give you a controller and bridge that gap. But I don't think it really works in a controller. I think as you're saying, if you have it there like the PlayStation 4, I was never keen on that one anyway, and with the Vita, I think having something there when you're used to this physical form and then try to move your fingers over it like that, it just doesn't work. It works on a mouse and keyboard because your hand's physically over it like that.
Yeah, that's all the right hand does, is move your character around.
That's it, but you're so used to it, your brain's so trained by that, to then go to a controller and then try to, well, you either do it like that, which is weird, or you're like that, and it's like, well, my hand's never really done that, it doesn't feel right. This is like a one-digit thing. It's like, it should be doing one-digit stuff.
Yeah, like you could actually, to be honest, if you talk about the tracking pad on the Steam controller, I'd rather it was a separate thing. I'd rather that's all, just a tracking pad that was separate, and that's what you would use for looking, so that it still feels like a mouse, if you like. But the fact that they're trying to integrate, you're trying to make everything in one. But a controller and a mouse and keyboard is always going to be separate. It's going to be two separate things. Trying to join that, for me, big mistake.
Yeah. Why not have like just like, well, if I was going to do it, I suppose you're kind of limited by buttons, but you've got the controllers, the PC ones where it's got the buttons on your fingers and you can type and stuff. But why not have something like a nunchuck, if they're going to go that kind of route? Why not have the nunchuck, and they can have their analog stick and their D-pad in there if they wanted to or whatever, I don't know. But you have just that part, it's completely separate as you say. Then you'd have essentially like a mouse, a mini mouse or something, that you could join that up maybe and you can use it like a normal controller, but you can take it off and then that could be like a digital mouse, you know? Maybe there's some sort of kind of complication with connecting up or something, I don't know, but yeah, I was never really that keen on the PlayStation 4 version of it.
Well, you see, I've been playing the PlayStation 4 quite recently, and at first I didn't like the PlayStation 4 controller. I didn't. It was too close to the PlayStation 3. Looking at the two controllers.
I've never liked that controller.
But the PlayStation 3 one.
Either.
Yeah, what is it? The analog placement that's annoying you.
It's the actual handles themselves, the handles and the trigger buttons I didn't like.
Well, actually, see, this was a real problem for PlayStation 3 because your hand kept slipping. That was done a lot better. They fixed that, and that they have got tiny grip, and it is enough to stop you.
I think the angle of these ones compared to the Xbox one, it just like you look at that there. There's my, like, if people can see that, my hand's naturally resting off the D-pad and off the buttons. It's like it's actually resting on the share and options buttons, but it's like I've got to then cramp my hand to get down to the analog specs or to use either thing. It's like I've actually almost forced my hand to move down.
I really think Xbox nailed it.
The Xbox One has got, like, by far, I've never got an Xbox One here, but to me the Xbox One controller is the best controller I've ever held in my hands, ever.
Ergonomic wise, it's amazing. It's much better than the PlayStation, I completely agree. But I've been playing The Last of Us recently. We're going to do a stream on that as well eventually. But I've been playing the Factions multiplayer on that with a couple of people. And I'm actually getting used to it. I'm getting used to it. They're using the tracking pad as your inventory, so you click that in, you bring your backpack round, you start talking about that. You start looking at that, with your shivs and that you can make up in The Last of Us. I quite like that. So that's like your backpack, it's just that button, that's what they used it for. And so yeah, I really like it. I really like the fact that it's got this motion control, like with The Last of Us, for example, it's green, then when you get hit it goes orange, and then when you get hit again it goes red. No, it's a gimmick, I know, but I like it.
Gimmick cheat! But the thing is, that was going to get it still gets used for Move, the PS Move stuff, but then they kind of forgot about it.
PlayStation Move, I forget that, same with Kinect, forget about that as well.
What I'd say is, I actually really enjoy the Wii U controller, I love it, but I think if you get an Xbox controller, the Xbox One controller, I know that one, the one with
the actual gamepad.
But I think it's really good for multitasking things, going on the browser and you're actually playing games and all that kind of stuff. But imagine you had an Xbox One controller with a screen in it. To me, that'd be perfect. I'd love it. If it felt like an Xbox One controller, with just that much of space between the two parts, with a screen, because I'm not worried my hands are further apart. It's the actual button placement and angles, the actual handles.
Because it would still be exactly the same as it moved out slightly.
Yeah,
because that design that both the Xbox using,
yeah,
the Xbox using and the Wii U controller, they're using that design compared to PlayStation. They're using a completely different design, if you like. I mean, that's totally different to that. The Wii U and the Xbox have went to that same design of the controller, and it is the way to go.
Yeah.
That is a perfect controller for me. That's that look.
yeah.
But the Wii U's just done that, I think, purely for copyright reasons. Because if they put that analog stick in there, then they would just be getting accused of it. You know what I mean? Like they'd just be getting accused of complete copyright with that.
But I think Nintendo's got the original stuff for that, patents, design stuff and everything.
No, but for that, like I don't actually like them. That's like two nunchucks to me. That's what that looks like. It's two nunchucks on the side with buttons mashed. Like, that's what it actually looks like to me. But the 360 controller and the Xbox One controller for me is the best controller. It's the way to go. It works with Steam. I wouldn't buy a Steam controller. Oh, we've got someone else following.
Camu079, thank you for following.
Thanks for following, dude.
Is it Kamui?
You need to
Kamui079.
correct us on that one.
Thanks for following.
Cheers. Have you got anything more to talk about then?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Let us know what you think about the controllers yourself. What's your favourite controller? Would you like to see an Xbox One controller with a screen in it?
Everybody's got to say, no, favourite controllers are mouse and keyboard. We're
Well,
just going to get back to shreds there.
My favourite thing is, I think one down the line is, what I'd love to have is something like a nunchuck. They're kind of doing it anyway, but a nunchuck on both hands, and then you aim with the virtual reality. So you're looking at that, and then you've got these are just extra controllers or extra buttons, whatever, and feeling haptic stuff. Anyway, let us know your thoughts on that. Also remember and follow us if you haven't followed us already, or you can donate to the channel, like I said, in the bit below the channel on Twitch. Follow us on YouTube and stuff like that there as well. We will post this up later on. Final thing is, we're going to be having a show later on tonight at 7 o'clock till about 10, 11 o'clock. Kieran will be playing.
Zombie U, that's what I'll be playing. Never played it before, I haven't looked it up, no cheating at all. This is going to be me going into this game, have never played it. I've not even used the Wii U gamepad before, not used any of that, so you're getting a complete noob.
Dreamcast, so is this a Dreamcast controller for life? Dreamcast, my favourite console ever. Long live the Dreamcast!
Dreamcast was shite.
There you go, blast away! Guys, thanks for following, thanks for watching. We'll be back on next week with Week in Review. Same time next week, 5 o'clock till 6ish next week. So stay tuned for us later on as well, 7 till 10 or 11. Join us for that if you're still around. And that's goodbye from me, Sean Paul Johnston.
Goodbye from me, Kieran Smith. Thanks for joining us, really appreciate it. And we'll catch you next week. Cheers. See you later.